Hello everybody and welcome to my predictions on part 2 of the Jumputi anniversary. I've been very busy between the last video I did on the Jumputi anniversary and now, so it's nice to have a moment to make a little video of predictions and whatnot. I kind of thought they might announce it. I'm recording this on Sunday, I'm going to upload it Sunday night. I kind of thought there might be news Sunday morning. I expected it for Monday, but I thought it could have come today, and if it did, then this video wouldn't really be happening. Or it would just be, here's the news, haha. But you'll probably get that video maybe tomorrow or in the coming days. And so, as for my predictions, I mean, they've basically said that it'll be a full-fledged event. The part 2 will just be its own event, as part 1 was. Which is kind of nice because last year, Part 2 was just a couple of little bits, and then we had another event before Golden Week, which I don't think will be the case this time. I think it will just be Part 2, then Golden Week. Now, my ongoing prediction has been that Golden Week will hold the JoJo Part 5 addition to the game, Golden Wind, and we'll get Gold Experience Requiem Giorno as our limited, and we'll get just a whole load of characters from Part 5. That's not confirmed or anything, that's just speculation, but we haven't really had any JoJo this year except for Will Zappelli, and we haven't really had, you know, it's been a while since the last JoJo Feature Festival, and it would be about the right time to release Part 5, and I don't know, Golden Week, Gold Experience Requiem, it kind of works, I don't know. We're talking about part 2 for now, part 2 of the anniversary, and I don't know, well, I should probably talk about the characters that have been teased first, which appear to be Razor from Hunter x Hunter, and a new Light Yagami from Death Note. And we already know that Meadow from Death Note is going to be added, so my current prediction is that Razor is going to be a Catastrophe class event, and we are going to receive with him our first limited of part 2, which will be Gon/Killua as a dual unit from that arc where they fought Razor, obviously. And I think with Light Yagami and Meadow, I think they're probably a pair similar to Erina and Alice in part 1. So Meadow will have his own event, whether it be a challenge event, a points event, some kind of new type of event, I don't know. But it'll be an event with a special gacha to counter it. I don't think they would make him a Catastrophe, so I'm a little bit torn. I did speculate that I think it would have been really good to have a Light Yagami Genkai battle, but they've specifically said that Meadow is an event unit on the advert in Weekly Shonen Jump, so that wouldn't really work unless Meadow is an event unit and then there is another separate Death Note Gacha unit, and then they are both used in some way to counter Genkai battle Light Yagami. He would be absolutely perfect for it, in my opinion, but it looks like more likely he's just going to be a gacha and then Meadow an event unit. And the only reason I say that is because I don't necessarily see them making Light Yagami a limited. Not that he couldn't be a limited, just because the whole thing has been dual units, and the only dual unit you could really do with Light is, I guess, Light and Ryuk, but the scene they're using in one of his celebrations is clearly just his like maniacal laugh, whatever. That's what we see in the silhouette. So I don't know, I'm not convinced. It could be the case, some people have said that might be the case, but I'm not convinced that is the case. I think Gon Killer will be one limited, and I think the other limited will be Tanjiro and Nezuko. Now, that might be a little bit of bias from me, but I kind of have run the numbers on this. I kind of thought about all the eventualities, and there are some good ones, but that's what I came up with. And so one of the other options was Asta and Yuno, which could happen. But I feel like Asta and Yuno only really team up, as far as I can remember, correct me if I'm wrong, they only really team up against Licht, who we already have. So you could do a version 2 Licht, but that'd be kind of boring. Or against the Devil guy. But I feel like that's a whole, like, that's a whole event by itself, the fight against the Devil dude. So I don't necessarily see him doing that. Then we have Ace and Luffy, which they could absolutely do, but I feel like it would be sort of a cop-out. Just because we already have Ace, and we already have Marineford Luffy, so you'd just be putting those two together as a unit. And then we already have Akainu, who is inevitably who they would be fighting against. So it would be a version 2 Akainu, and then Ace Luffy from units we already have. It just doesn't make sense to me. Another one I considered was... I really like this idea, but I feel like Haikyuu's probably going to be getting a story event at some point, a feature festival at some point. But I did consider the idea of a Hinata Kageyama dual unit, and then you could have them counter Atsumu and Osamu Miya, who could also be a dual unit. I like that idea. I like that idea, but I feel like there's so much Haikyuu content and they still haven't had a feature festival. So I feel like once they have a feature festival, maybe we'll see more added. But for now, I'm not convinced. Again, not convinced. As for the other pairings they showed on the website, it's some of them are just kind of like, is obviously not really limited worthy, if you know what I mean. Like, say for example, Seiya and fuck, why can't I remember? Why is my brain telling me Shun? That's wrong. Marin? Is it Marin? I can't remember. I think it's Seiya and Marin. Regardless, doesn't really. That's not really a limited unit, is it? Yukihito and Lala is not really a limited unit. Kenshin and Kamiyakaru, not really a limited unit. So, of what they've shown that's left, Goku and Vegeta we've got, Killer and Gon are basically confirmed at this point. Naruto and Sasuke we already got. And then there's some interesting options left. We have Deku and Bakugo, but the only real battles I know of where they fight together are against All Might. So a Vulnerable All Might, that doesn't really make sense to me. Or I think they did it in like a movie. One of the movies they fought together against some dude, but that doesn't count. Ace and Luffy I already mentioned. Tanjiro and Nezuko to me seems quite likely, because they already have Gyutaro in the game, and he is technically part of Daki's special at some points, but you could have Gyutaro with an aura, and he can have Daki as part of his special, and then, yes, we do already have that Nezuko, but we don't have that Tanjiro. So putting them together as one unit, and you could use Nezuko from a different part of the battle, I think that could work, and we could get, I guess this is spoilers for Kimetsu no Yaiba, I should have said this, we can get Dance of the Fire God Tanjiro for the first time. We do need it. One of the things I did consider, he's one of the characters we need an updated sprite for. Him and Deku were the ones that stood out to me as characters we can expect new sprites for. So something to bear in mind. They've put Ichigo and Rukia there. I feel like we've already got some Bleach content, and I could not see Ichigo and Rukia working. As I mentioned before, Asta Yuno, a very real possibility, but I don't necessarily see it. One of the examples they used was actually Gintoki and Shinpachi, and I have something to say about that, but I'm going to save it until a bit later. And then the last two pairs they show are Hinata Kageyama, which I could totally see, but I feel like they would save it for a Haikyuu event. And Kenshiro and Rao, I kind of feel like we're not going to get any Hokuto no Ken in this event, because we already had the Fist of the North Star Feature Festival not that long ago, and I know you can make the same argument for Naruto, but Naruto's different. Okay, it has its own set of rules for this game. It's unfortunate, but that's how it is. Now that I've covered the limiteds and the catastrophes, I think we'll still get 2 more standard gacha units. We have Light Yagami, who's kind of a special gacha. We sometimes call them semi-limiteds. Semi-limited doesn't really mean anything. It just kind of means they're in a gacha by themselves, and 5 multis will guarantee you the unit, typically. And they normally serve a specific purpose. I think the only reason we used to call them semi-limiteds was because they were only available on that banner, and then they wouldn't be available again for ages. Was typically how it was laid out. But they've kind of messed about with those rules a little bit as time's gone on, so it's, I don't know. But here's my thing. So for standard gacha, for part 2 of the anniversary, I've put version 3 Deku. I feel like we need a new Deku sprite because the old one looks so outdated. And I put Kikumaru and Oishi from the Prince of Tennis. The reason I've gone for this is because I think we need at least 1 standard gacha double unit. Like, they can just have stricter rules on how they get their double tap. It's fine. And Prince of Tennis was one of the winners of the vote, which is the same as Otokojuku, which was part 1. So, you know. And Deku I went with because it's a popular series. I'd probably put it in the same bracket as Bleach. Probably not quite as high, but, you know, it's more recent, more relevant recently, so you can put it in that sort of area. It will draw people to pull. And the reason I put V3 Deku is because I feel like having Gentle and La Brava as a dual farmable unit would be pretty cool. Whether they'd actually do that, I don't know, but I think it makes sense, especially seeing as that just happened in the anime not that long ago, and it's kind of a cool moment, but it's isolated within its own arc, so just something that could happen. And then, see, I don't know, for Kikumaru and Oishi, there's a lot of doubles matches they have had, but I think I chose the pairing from Rikaidai, which is Neo and Yagyu. So, adding to our Rikaidai roster, but also Prince of Tennis, it kind of does deserve more content a little bit. I mean, it's won a vote. It was already popular to begin with. Like, did it win the vote or did it come like 3rd or something? I don't know. But it was in the vote. Now, that does... I think the 3 winners were Otokojuku, Prince of Tennis, and Assassination Classroom. And the thing I would say is, Prince of Tennis will eventually get a story event. And so... I mean, will Otokojuku? Possibly not. I would probably say it won't. But Assassination Classroom absolutely will. It absolutely will have a feature festival at some point. But I think it has less content to work with than Prince of Tennis. So I think maybe they would not give it something here, but then in a month or so, or 2 months, maybe release an Assassination Classroom feature festival. That would make sense to me. And the last thing I want to mention of new units, I said we should get a Metal Shop unit, and I feel like it's only fair if it were a double unit, because it'll be something to work towards for players later when all these new units are not available. They'll still be able to get this one Metal Shop unit if they save up enough points. They will still be able to have a double tap unit. And I think, logically, the best choice is probably Gintoki and Katsura, which would make it the only pairing other than Goku Luffy not shown. And well, I suppose with the other ones I mentioned here, you know, but they did show Gintoki, but they showed him with Shinpachi. I think Gintoki Katsura makes more sense. And this is perfect because that is a unit that is limited tier. If you're a Gintama fan, you'd probably put that as a limited worthy unit, but it has been put in the shop. So it's something for anybody to work towards, which is the same thing they did with Ryu Margin Dai. I think that makes the most sense, especially seeing as Gintoki and Katsura, I think it's from the Benizakura arc. they do have a fight where they fight together, but they only really fight against like a bunch of mobs before they run away. But it's still like a pretty cool moment, so it's like giving a unit to a moment that deserves a unit, but you don't necessarily have to give a farmable event because it's in the store. That's just, you know, my opinion. And I feel like that's a pretty good lineup. It kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a mix there. I'm not fully convinced on a lot of these. I don't necessarily think they would do a farmable dual unit as a Transcendent or a Catastrophe. I'm not necessarily convinced that Tundra and Nezuko would work. I mean, it would work as a limited, but in my head, I'm thinking I'll go for something bigger. But I'm trying to think of series that are bigger than Kimetsu no Yaiba, where a dual unit would make sense. Like, anyone you put with Ichigo is just gonna kind of be like a bit forced, isn't it? And I don't know what other series that are that's like up there. It's very difficult. I don't know, but I do feel like possibly that final limited dual unit will be somebody that has not been shown. I think there is a very real possibility it'll be something we haven't been thinking about. They've shown us all these pairings, and I feel like it might not be one of those. I'm praying it's not Ace and Luffy. As much as, like, you know, One Piece is such a big story, and I'd be fine with more characters, but there are loads of characters they haven't done yet. So to go back and do Marineford Luffy again, along with Ace again, along with Akainu again, to me that would be a bit of a cop-out. You're probably going to do another One Piece feature festival later this year anyway, so I would just avoid that altogether. And I don't know. I think Deku, Bakugo, or Tundra and Nezuko are probably quite high up there. I mean, maybe they do just do a farmable All Might. They made All Might Catastrophe last year. Sorry, not limited last year, and I make him a Catastrophe this year. It could work. Yeah, I don't know. From now, I don't know. I've told you what I hope to see. As for what I expect to see, I'm a little bit wary on. But I think basically at this point we can confirm that Razor will be a Catastrophe. Gon Killer will be a limited gacha. And then as for Light Yagami, I mean, maybe that was a big mislead. Maybe they're doing something completely different with Death Note. I don't know. Maybe that's not even Light Yagami. Maybe that's sort of somebody else. However, I'm going to end the video there. I'd be interested to see what other people think is going to happen, because, I mean, how much Shonen Jump content is there out there? It could be anything. And it's one of the few times, this anniversary has been one of the few times we've gone in knowing very little. And that's kind of nice. So, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you all probably tomorrow when we get news.